Hello and welcome to a new Scale 500 news video here on the channel, on a day where Herpa Wings is bringing us their announcements for their first batch of 2026. So batch 1, this will cover the months of January and February, at least if they are keeping up with their regular schedule, which they so often aren't. But in any case, what have they in store for us for batch 1? That is what we will take a look at right here, right now. As always, I'm just going to add the prices of these new models as a graphic. This is due to the reason that Herpa never mentions these prices, so in order to speed up the process of making this video and giving it you as quickly as possible, I have to do the voiceover before we actually know the official retail prices, but you can see it under each model that we show you here in the video. And so we can jump right into it with the model we already see on the cover image, another Airbus A380 of Emirates, probably the most featured airline with this aircraft type. Maybe not surprising given that they have so many of them, but Herpa is ready with their next attempt of an A380 of Emirates. Now, the aircraft of course features a special livery of Emirates. They have quite many of them, but this is the Wimbledon special livery of Emirates. The model itself was already shown during the Herpa Wings Open Day event earlier this year. At least a sample model of it, of course, was already broken there. But this is the next special livery A380 we will get from Herpa Wings. Now, already earlier this year, the Herpa Wings product manager in one of their live streams teased that they would be making new 747 freighters. We have already seen the Asiana cargo announced for this year. If it will arrive in time, we have our doubts. But in any case, the second one was to be a blue 747 freighter from Europe. Now, they didn't manage to actually releases this year as they had originally attempted or planned to do, but it will now come in the first batch of 2026. It is of course the KLM Cargo 747F. That is actually a model that I am a little bit excited about because it's been quite a while since we last seen one of those featured, and of course we haven't had it in the most recent KLM livery. So yeah, that is actually quite nice. The price, okay, I guess that's Herpa for you. Now, of course, there won't be a batch currently with Herpa Wings where there isn't a Condor aircraft model, and they are starting off the year with a new 757-300. It is the fourth in the series, so they're completing the 4 colors that were featured on this aircraft model. They have, of course, by now all been retired, which for me, well, it loses completely my interest since they are not flying around anymore. Herpa is just too late to the party with these models. But if you have bought the previous ones and want to complete your fleet now, you can do so. Although I really cannot recommend anyone to spend their money on these 757s because the quality of them is quite frankly absolutely terrible. And I don't see it changing for this red 757-300. So yeah, my recommendation, don't buy this model, or at the very least do not pre-order it, but wait till you can actually see the aircraft models in stores so that you can determine if the quality is acceptable for you or not. Now, something quite unexpected for me in this batch was this E70 in the livery of Crossair. Now, you have to notice it has a Brazilian registration. This is because the aircraft as such was never delivered to Crossair. It was ordered, but then due to changes with the companies and the collapse of Swissair and then the creation of Swiss International Air and all that stuff, the plans for these ordered aircraft changed, and they never entered the Crossair fleet. So why is Herpa doing this aircraft model? I mean, sure, it has an interesting backstory, which might be interesting for some collectors, and there is a real possibility that this little aircraft could be a quite good donor model for any custom model maker out there. But the real reason why Herpa has made this aircraft model is simply because the license would have been dirt cheap if they had to pay anything at all, and they just needed a second Embraer E70. Now, the factory in China does not take orders from Herpa Wings unless they order a minimum of 2 of an aircraft type. So if you want to do one aircraft type with an airline, you need to have a second one as well. And they wanted to do another lot E70, so they had to find something that was just very cheap. In this case, it was this Crossair. That is 100% the reason why they have made this aircraft model. So, as I mentioned, the other E70, the one they actually wanted to make, is a re-release of the Embraer E70 in the LOT Polish Airlines livery. Now, if you missed the previous one, now you have your chance to get your hand on this one. There is the hope, at least from my side, that they will fix the issues they had on the previous version, which had colors all over the place. Do I have high hopes that they will have fixed these issues? No. So also here my recommendation stands. Do not pre-order them. Wait until you can see how the actual aircraft model has turned out to see if they have gotten the colors correct, because as I said, with the last one they messed it up completely. And this tiny little lot is being accompanied by a quite a bit larger lot in form of a Dreamliner 787-9 in the Lodge Polish Airlines standard livery. This is also a re-release, so if you missed the previous ones, now you have the chance to get another one, or the first one in this case. If you missed the previous ones, it will have a different registration code for sure, and you will have the possibility of paying more money than with the previous versions. Apart from that, I don't really see any changes to this aircraft whatsoever, but if you missed them, now you have another chance. So yes, to be fair, so far I have not been super excited about the models, but this is about to change, even though they might not really fit into my fleet, but I think they can be quite nice to have around anyways. And we are now moving to South America. Now, Herpa has for a very long time teased the possibility of making new LATAM aircraft models, including narrow bodies, and they seem to be delivering. Now, I would very much have liked them to start with a standard livery, but this is a lesson that Herpa never seems to learn, and they just don't do that. They always start off with special liveries and then often forget the standard liveries. But here we have a series of aircraft, or at least potentially. I think actually the product manager mentioned that they would do all 5 tails of the special LATAM liveries that they have on their narrow bodies, where they're basically featuring a variation of the LATAM branding according to the various South American countries in which they are operating. And so we are getting this little Airbus A319 of LATAM with the Ecuadorian flag. And this is really cool. In this batch, they're actually not just doing one, but they're making 2 at the same time. So we're also getting an Airbus A320 of LATAM with the Colombian flag. So this is highly unusual for Herpa. When they are making these kind of series of aircraft, they usually take way too long in completing them. It drags out over a year or more. And given that they're making 2 of the potential 5 here in one batch, gives me hope that we could actually get it completed within a year. That would be really exciting, I think. And maybe we can get lucky and then get a standard livery afterwards. I would at least very much hope so, that they don't forget to do the standard livery. But we remain in South America a little while longer. Normally I don't include these models in these announcement videos because they're not technically part of the announcement, but Herpa did also today announce the next Herpa Wings Club model. Well, actually it's not true, they have already teased it before. They have shown a sample model during some fairs, but the next Herpa Wings Club model, which I think is already available right now on their website, or at least will be very soon, is an Airbus A330 in a special livery of Azul. So yeah, plenty of South American aircraft models available or coming in the near future from Herpa Wings. So let's move on from the Herpa Wings Club model here and go back to the actual announced models for batch 1 2026. And I think this is a model that really will excite quite many collectors, especially in Europe. It is a narrow body, standard livery Lufthansa Airbus A319. It is quite incredible that we have to be excited about this. This should be an ordinary model, really, but Herpa is always shying away from making standard livery models of Lufthansa for whatever reason, and especially with the narrow bodies they usually have a special livery. But here we actually get a standard livery A319 of Lufthansa. There's another Lufthansa model in this batch with a special livery, but I think in this case it is warranted. It is of a Dreamliner. We've had a couple of Dreamliners in the standard livery, so I don't mind as much that we now get a special livery. It is also a very special livery. It looks quite cool. There have of course already been images circulating of the real aircraft being painted, and there are actually also some images from other manufacturers that are making this model as well, where we have some images from the production sites. But what we have here is a line graph, and this again means be very, very cautious. Now the livery looks stunning, and I'm sure it can be a really cool scale 500 aircraft model, but notice how many details they have added here. I highly doubt that you will see that many details in the actual aircraft model. And what I also highly doubt is that Herpa will manage to make this livery without any issues. I can see print lines all over this thing. In any case, I hope, of course, that they will manage to pull it off very nicely and with as many details as we see here. but be super, super cautious with this one, especially with this one, because this livery is much more complicated than, for example, the standard livery of Lufthansa. Do not pre-order. Wait until you can actually see the aircraft model in front of you, or at least see not product images from Herpa Wings, but images from maybe stores or eBay sellers, so that you can get a actual good look at what the model looks like before you buy it. It will not be cheap, that's for sure, and it has huge potential for Herpa to mess up. So don't waste your money, wait and then order, if you like it. But we stay in the Lufthansa group in form of Swiss International Airlines, that is also represented here in this release batch with an Airbus A320 CEO, as it looks like. It says 2025 updated delivery, and I think the only real update to the delivery is just the fact that it has the Lufthansa Group sticker, because apart from that, the Swiss livery looks unchanged. So yeah, if you don't have any of the previous Swiss A320s, here is a new chance for you now with the Lufthansa Group sticker. And there is also a new little narrow body coming from North America in this batch in form of the Airbus A319 of United Airlines. I think the colors on this line graph look a bit dark. I think the grey belly looks a bit dark. I think the dark blue on the engine assist looks a bit dark, but it's just a line graph. It doesn't mean that or necessarily mean that the product will look like this in the end. As we know with Herpa, they're very creative with their models and their colors. But yeah, again, just maybe wait for the actual product to show up. But A319 United Airlines new livery is featured in this batch. And then we have two more models. There is a 757 of UPS being featured in this release batch. We've had one quite a few years back by now, but now there's another one coming in the Herpa lineup. So if you missed any of the previous ones, again, here as a chance to redo. If it was a mistake not getting it, redoing it that. But of course, it will cost you way more than it used to back in the day. And then there's also something for military collectors, and this one in form of an E3 Centenary, one of these AVEX aircrafts. Not really my cup of tea, but for those military collectors, this might be something for you. If it is still flying around, I guess it is, but you will know more than me about military aircraft for sure. So that is the lineup of Herpa Wings in their January-February batch, so batch 1 for 2026. So yeah, what are your thoughts on these aircraft models? I mean, when we look overall, I think we have a fairly good mixture of European stuff. We have some South American stuff, North American, military, cargo. A quite good mix, a little bit historic, not historic, but more recent historic in form of the Crosshair, although I really doubt that this will be a very good seller, but as I said, it is just there so they could make the lot. A little bit concerning, I think, the prices. We see some slight increases here and there. Yes, the A320s remain at 40 euros, that's good, but for example, yeah, the Embraer E70s at 37 euros, which is insane. The Emirates A380 now at 53 euros. And I know they will say, yeah, but it's an additional license with the Wimbledon livery. I don't care. It's still 53 euros and it pushes the price even further up than we have already seen. That's not a good tendency. From the models in this batch that I'm actually interested in, I would say the KLM Cargo has potential for me to be a model that I would like to buy. The two LATAM, even though I'm pretty sure they would not really fit into my fleet, but I still think they're cool and they're definitely models that I'm considering. Then, for example, the Swiss and the United. I think the Lufthansa 19 I will skip. The special of the Lufthansa, of course, has the potential to be a super cool aircraft model. The livery looks really stunning, but it also has huge potential to be messed up by Herpa Wings. So I will definitely wait for this one to actually see the aircraft model before I buy it, if I end up buying it. But let me know what you think about this batch. What models are there that you really are excited about, or are they all passes for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's keep the conversation going down there. And as always, if you like this type of content, then be sure to leave a like. If you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.